Hi, this is part 4 of arithmetic sequences, and on these we're finding the first term, the common difference, which they don't give those to you, and you're finding the nth term formula, which we have done those in the past. Okay, so they give you basically two terms within the sequence. They give you the fifth term, and in this case they give you the 41st term as well. Now I don't like writing it this way. This is how the book writes it. I write a little shorthand version. The fifth term, a sub 5 is 18. And a sub 41, which is the 41st term, is 162. Now, so there are 4 terms before the 5th term, and there's a lot of terms between the 5th and the 41st term. But we don't know the common difference, we don't know the first term. That's what we're looking for. And once we get those two things, we'll be able to find that last one, because remember, that's the a sub n equals a sub 1, which we'll have to know that, plus n minus 1 times the d, and we'll have to know that as well. And so that's why they want the first term and the common difference. So we'll need those two things to plug those into this formula, and you'd have your answer. Anyway, this is probably the hardest problems in 9.2 and 9.3. These types of problems right here, because you actually have to use the formula twice, and you have to use something called solving a system of equations. Now, we don't do that section in this class. So what we're going to do is I'm going to basically give you a shorthand version of how to do that concept. It's really easy to do, but it's really easy to forget to do it later on. So you just got to remember the trick. Okay. So this is the 5th term. This is the 41st term. So what you do is you plug the 5th term in like you normally would do. It's going to be a sub 1 plus 4 times the d, because it's 5 minus 1. And the 41st term is a sub 1 plus 40d, because it's 41 minus 1, which is 40. And so this is the 5th term, this is the 41st term. The problem is, I know what the values of those are. This is 18, and this is 162. And that when I do that, it creates something called a systems of equations, because you get two equations, this equation and this equation, and the same two variables you don't know. So what we're going to do is solve for one of those variables. And the trick is, this works every single time, you just subtract the equations. So if you take 18, take away 162, I believe that's going to be what? Negative 144. 18 take away 162. And then 4d take away 30d is a negative, 40d is negative 36d. Okay, and then a sub 1 take away a sub 1 disappears. And that is why you subtract the equations, because it makes the a sub 1s go away. But look what results from it. You have one equation and a variable that you can figure out now. So that's why you subtract the equation. That's why I call it the trick, because we don't teach this, and so if I don't teach it, it's more or less like a trick, because it's not formally taught in this course. So anyway, you divide both sides by negative 36. Okay, and I believe d turns out to be 4. Now this is just kind of a rough shot, but just I want you to notice something, that the common difference was 4. If I got a negative 4, I would definitely know I'd be wrong, because the 5th term is 18, the 41st term is 162, so the sequence is growing in value, so it's getting bigger. And so I knew the common difference has to be positive. And a lot of times when you do this on a test, you make a silly mistake, and you turn out with a d to be a negative number, and it should be a positive number, or conversely. And if you would just looked at your sequences and the values of how they're going from a smaller to a larger, you would know that d has to be positive. And so that's just kind of a quick check, just kind of an observation thing, but it can save you a point here or there on the test. So anyway, the common difference is 4, so that answers the second question. Now to figure out the first term, you plug 4 back in to the equation. So a sub 1 plus 4d equals 18. Now you could go back to the second equation as well. They're going to give you the same value. So I usually go with the easiest equation, smaller numbers. and this one's got smaller numbers. So, and then I put the 4 that I just found in D back in. So 4 times 4 is 16. Okay? And then subtract 16 to the other side. And so the first term is 2. So then now that I know the first term is 2 and the difference is 4, I can answer any of your questions you want to know. So a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times z. And that's going to be your third question. So if you want to know the 200th term, I'll be able to find it for you now because I will just plug those into the formula. A sub n equals 2, which is a sub 1, plus n minus 1 times the common difference, which is 4. So a sub n equals 4n. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4, and negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. So, all right. So that's the formula. That will answer your third question. Now, look at all this stuff I'm going to check. And I don't have to do this. I'm really done. If I'm pretty satisfied with what I've done and I'm pretty sure that I've got everything correct, then I would go on. But I'm going to show you a few things. The D is 4. D is 4. That's the slope. Now, what was the fifth term? The fifth term should be 18. Look at my formula. 4 times 5 is 20. And then 20 minus 2, 18. How about that? Now, this one's going to be a little tougher. 41st term. 4 times 41 is 164. And then 164 minus 2 is 162. How about that? So those are just quick checks just to make sure everything is good to go. If you don't want to check it, you're not required to do it. I'm just saying you're on a test. It was nothing better than feeling good that you got the right answer. And it gives you confidence to move on to the next problem. So, but like I said in class, this is probably one of the hardest sections in Chapter 9, is doing problems like this. It's called systems of equations. I think it would be a little easier if we would have went and taught that at the beginning of the semester, but we didn't do it. We have time constraints, and so we have to pick and choose what we can do in this course. But anyway, so that's how you find the D, is you just subtract the equations and make the a sub 1's go away. And then once you find the D, put that back in to find the first term. And then once you got those two, plug it back into the main formula. So it's kind of a set thing you have to go through. So, all right. So that's example 1. Now example 2 will work exactly the same way. Okay. So here it goes. So the 15th term is 0. So a sub 15 equals 0, and a sub 40 equals negative 50. And if you notice, the sequence is going down. It starts at 0. The 15th term starts at 0. Then it goes down to negative 50 once you reach the 40th term. So whatever comes of this, the D has to be a negative number. So now, here it goes. So a sub 15 equals a sub 1 plus 14D. 15 minus 1. And then the 40th term is a sub 1 plus 39D, 40 minus 1. Now remember, that is equal to 0, and that is equal to negative 50. So then the trick, you subtract the equations. A sub 1 minus a sub 1 goes away, and then 14D's take away 39D's is a negative 25D's. And then 0 take away negative 50. Now, here's where people will make their mistake. They'll try to do the math in their head, and then they'll get negative 50 here. It's a mistake. That's negative 50 is a mistake, because when you divide both sides by negative 25, the answer looks like it should be 2. And it's very, very, it's very tempting to just look say, okay, D is 2 and move on. But 2 can't be right, because the sequence is going down, not up. So this is what I was saying a while ago. You got to be careful and just do these little quick mental checks that what the D has to be. It has to be negative. So the mistake was made right here. 0 take away negative 50 is positive 50. 2 negatives make a positive. And so D is actually negative 2. And that would make sense because the sequence is going down in value. So the D I found out. Now remember, the A sub 1s went away, and that was the reason you subtracted them. Then you put D equals negative 2 back in, so A sub 1 plus 14 times negative 2 is negative 28 equals 0. So A sub 1 is 28. So that's the first term. That answers the first question. The first thing I found answered the second question. Then the nth term. So then you get your nth term formula. And remember, you have to know the formula to do the problems. Close isn't good enough. So A sub 1 is 28 plus n minus 1 times the d, which is negative 2. So A sub n equals negative 2 times n is negative 2n. Negative 2 times negative 1 is a positive 2 plus 30. Now this is pretty much golden. I mean, that thing is worth a lot because A sub n equals negative 2n plus 30, because it will tell you anything you want to know about the sequence now. You want to find the 50th term? Not a problem. Just plug 50 in. Okay? It should give you the 50th term. Now let's see if it actually is true though. Let's find the 40th term. It better be negative 50. If it doesn't, it doesn't work. So let's find the 40th term. Negative 2 times 40 is negative 80. And then negative 80 plus 30 is negative 50. And that's indeed what the number should be. So it's just a little quick check. Okay? A lot of times you're going through here and you're not knowing whether you're getting them right or you're getting them wrong. And whenever you can go in there and you can check to make sure you're getting them right. What would be frustrating though is if you think you're getting them right and then you put them back in, then it gets more frustrating. So, but at least you'll know. So when you get your test back, you'll know whether you got them right or not. So there's not going to be any frustration when you get it back because you already know what you did. You knew you get them right before you even come back to class, or you missed them before you came back to the next class. So, but that little check helps out a lot. So anyway, so this is all the sequences. Now the part 5 we're going to devote solely on the series. And it's the other two formulas. And there's only a small section of finding the sums of these things. So this includes part 4. Part 5, one more part coming up.